All right, guys, thank you guys for tuning in this video. So if you're getting ready to watch the interview with Stephanie Lynn, she's going to go and she's going to explain everything about the lawsuit that is being brought against Watchtower. Now, during that video, we're talking about the website to go to, and I will link that in the bottom of the description of the video. But just so you guys know, once you click on that link, it's going to open up and it's going to look like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to right here where it says change culture with one story of all of us. Once you click that, it'll show up like this. You're going to bring yourself all the way down, and those documents that you're going to see are right here. The attorney one, and then this one right here is for the law that we want to get reversed. Now, our goal is to try to get 1,000 people to do this, and that would be absolutely fantastic. So, and also you can contact them. This is their email, and that's all the necessary information. Now, um, guys, there's something that really, really shocked me that I'm going to tell you about at the end of the video. But I want you to go ahead and listen to this video, and then I will tell you what happened at the end.
Uh, okay, so it's recording now. Okay, all right. Well, thank you guys. This is XJWs of Arizona. I have a special guest here, which is a friend of mine. I'm going to have her introduce herself, and then she's going to tell you what she's doing. And if you guys would like to help her, we would be very grateful for that. And with that being said, Stephanie, take it away.
Oh, thank you, Bo. First of all, thank you for having me on the show and bringing light to this exciting opportunity for all ex-JWs, and yeah, all survivors of abuse from within Watchtower. So thank you for offering the platform to spread this news. So Bo had made a video a couple of days ago. I've been keeping him informed as I've been moving this project forward. And now we're at a space where we can share it with everyone. So it's multifaceted. And so I want to really take my time and walk people through this, because everything is kind of coming together as one project, but it encompasses a lot of different things like civil lawsuits, criminal investigations, and legislation reform. So there's a lot that we can do collectively together. Our voice holds more power when we come together as a unit instead of standing individually. So first of all, let's talk about the lawsuit and the power of many voices coming together. A class action lawsuit or a mass tort lawsuit is that where many people come together that have been harmed in the same way by the same organization or by the same product. And then an attorney or attorneys, plural, will represent those clients in court and find justice for them, whether it's usually monetary justice, of course. That's how these things get settled in the court. So we have the opportunity, because the statute of limitations for child human trafficking, there is no statute of limitations for that crime. And the way in which these things are handled internally can oftentimes label them, these crimes, as things much more severe than a police officer might look at a case and say, oh, that's a child sexual assault case. Well, when there's a pattern, for instance, like what happened in our Kingdom Hall, where I grew up in Corey, Pennsylvania, was I watched one little boy after another become victimized and raped and ruined. And then they covered up this crime, and then another boy and another boy. And that pattern of silence is allowing these crimes to take hold within organizations that are supposed to be protecting children. So that pattern then is what we're looking at as being the subject of actual human trafficking. Along with a lot of cases too are, human trafficking. We've heard the stories of the satanic rituals that sometimes take place within these organizations, or actual, human trafficking with, whether it be video recording and film taking, or others I've heard even within the Jehovah's Witness organization, where child victims are sold as a commodity for the pleasures of men and women. So human trafficking is going on in the corporation. It just depends on each individual case, how that may or may not be defined. So the law office has agreed to look at each individual case, but yet collectively as a group, where we can bring our voices together to cause a mass healing for all of us and bring justice for many instead of a few. So where you're going to go is you're going to go to, we have Star Paul that's working with us on this, and she has a website, worldorganizationwelfare.org. And on there, you're going to click changing culture with one story of us, or all of us. And that in there is going to explain to you the ecumenical lawsuit introduction. And we're saying it's ecumenical because the organization that I'm working with, that has helped me in my advocacy to make this such a big production, if you will, they are looking not only at the Jehovah's Witnesses and their child abuse and harmful protective policies, they're looking at other organizations such as the Mormons, the Scientologists, other cult communities that protect the pedophile as opposed to the child. So that's why this is ecumenical, because yes, we're starting with the Jehovah's Witnesses, but that's because that's where my story comes out of, is out of the Jehovah's Witnesses. And I contacted them. But then, through the years of advocacy that I've done, I've realized that it wasn't just the children within Watchtower that were being harmed in these same exact sadistic ways, that this evilness has made its way into every institution of trust. And when those institutions of trust are also our religious institutions, we then have we just have a moral breakdown at that point, that absolutely has to be addressed.
Yeah, so what you're saying, this is, I mean, obviously we know this is going on with Jehovah's Witnesses, and then other churches are doing the same thing. So this is focusing just on the abuse of children as a general, and then these people are helping us, and then Watchtower is the building block, is what?
Yes, absolutely. Watchtower is the building block.
Okay.
And then my husband and I are working with the team to expand it into the LDS community. And then once that takes hold, then we'll expand it into, other cult communities. And cult just means culture. I know a lot of people don't like when we call the Jehovah's Witness organization a cult, but cult means culture. And if your culture is a harmful culture, a culture that hurts children and protects the evilness of that, then that's not a culture that I want to be a part of. So I'd rather be a part of the culture of life that is really fighting here to win.
Yeah, something that I found really interesting about like what you just said, and just members of these organizations, like for example, we're talking about Watchtower. is that you would think that they're a church organization, that they would want to get rid of people like this. But we're finding that it's the exact opposite, that at times they're actually going out and purposely trying to find these people,
Yes,
which
yes.
is really strange. Like
And
people,
sometimes I
yeah.
think the churches become involved. It's beyond a it's beyond complicit. I can't say the word right. It's an enabling that is actually making them equally as liable for these crimes. I saw just recently, and I don't really know how to translate this yet in my mind, but I saw recently where advocates are petitioning for RICO against the Catholic Church and their whole involvement with how the border is run and the trafficking of the women and children and the people, you know, not just women and children, but the overall trafficking there at the border. So I don't really know how to process that yet, but I'm sure greater minds, legal minds than mine have got ideas of their own. But I'm just thankful that
Mhm.
the law office of Travis Walker, he has agreed to put together a class action lawsuit where, as of right now, it's anyone within the United States that was harmed in this fashion by the Jehovah's Witness organization can go on to, can either contact him directly, or we have a form on the website that I offered you, worldorganizationwelfare.org. And I'm sure you'll put the links, thank you, Bo, in this video. So you don't actually have to go to the website. You can get it off of Bo's links there. But in there, there's the attorney intake form, and you're going to fill that out and send it directly to the attorney. I don't want to see that the investigators working on the criminal cases do not want to see that part. That's between you and the attorney. And then that, if you fill that out and send it in, they will then review it to see if they may or may not be able to help you. They are quite possibly going to reach out to you and to see how you want to, if you want to participate in this major class action mass tort litigation that's going to be coming up against the Watchtower organization.
So
So
now that you said that, I do want to like ask some clarification because I know the audience is going to want to know this because I want to know this. Those documents that you gave to me that I linked in the previous video talking about this, those
yes,
3 documents,
yes,
are those 3 documents on this web page that you just sent me that I will link
yes,
in the description?
yes.
Have you been on the website? Do you know how to navigate it to find them?
I'm on there right now. So if you're on the front page of it, you'll
Uh-huh.
see there's a little Watchtower cartoon, and
Okay.
then underneath it, changing culture with one story of all of us, asking survivors to share their stories in letter form. So click that, and this is where you're going to see changing culture with one story of all of us. So this is kind of like
Okay.
the instructional
Mhm.
document, if you will, of what we're doing, what we're asking for people to come forward with. And, so that's kind of the instructional page. And then underneath there, you see the documents linked.
Yeah, attorney, client, okay, yeah, I see them. Okay,
Attorney
perfect.
client intake PDF.
Mhm.
And then, so I think we've covered the lawsuit part. Now this is like threefold what's going on.
Okay.
And people need to understand there's different pieces to the puzzle, but it's all going to come together to produce a mass healing for many, including legislation reform. So if you want to partake in the lawsuit, contact the attorney, please. The second thing is a petition for redress. Now, if you click that open, you'll see this one is specific for Watchtower. So the questionnaires, there'll be multiples in here. This one's for Watchtower. We're working on the Mormon questionnaire right now and so forth. So for those watching you right now, so you're gonna click on this Watchtower petition for redress questionnaire. Now, it's very important to understand this.
Do you want me to see if I can share my screen and I have it up?
Sure.
Let me see if I can get that to work. All right, I don't know what this is looking like
Yeah.
on your end. Do you see it?
I see it. Yep, perfect. So,
Okay.
and I'm hoping everyone watching can see this. So this form here is to be used for a couple of different things. The first thing that it will be used for is by the detectives and the private investigators that are forming the criminal cases against Watchtower. And they're taking the information and putting it into a database, if you will, that reads AI, and then it collects it and categorizes it to start to find
Patterns.
patterns. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. So it's very,
Gotcha.
very high tech, okay? Which will help in alleviating this issue.
Wow, that will be so good. Can you imagine? So, I mean, think about how powerful computers are, especially like with newer generation and new AI.
Yeah.
They'll be able to do what would take years in
Right.
days.
Right, exactly. So that's the first thing, is if you really want to stop this, you're going to fill this out. So
Okay.
who's going to be filling this out is survivors, mothers that were told not to go to the authorities by the elders. My cousin, who is and never was a Jehovah's Witness, but she also witnessed what happened in our family. Like, she knew about it. So she's going to fill this out, because the second part of this is we're going to be collecting these, and this is why it's so important that your signature is on this, because we're going to be taking this to agencies that have the power to do something with this information. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Organizations that change laws, governmental agencies that go after corporations that are harmful to their citizens. And Watchtower is harmful to their, to the citizens of the United States. So the government does have a right to investigate and to take action. So that is the two things that this specific form is going to be doing. On the bottom there, you can see where it says your voice matters. Send the original signed testimonies to one of the addresses below. You got paying for sins of others, and then WOW. So send these into either one of those, and these are the processing centers, if you will, for the information coming in for the investigators. And the investigators then are compiling it and taking it to the authorities and to the legislative people that can make changes that will protect our children.
Do you want to speak on the other documents as well? Should I bring them up and look at them?
Sure. Which other document are you referring to?
I have the attorney client
the attorney
intake
client.
form.
Yep. So this attorney client intake form is confidential between you and the attorney. You're going to fill this out, and at the bottom, you'll notice that the mail to address is directly to the law office of Travis Walker, who has graciously agreed to take on this massive movement.
Now, is there a financial burden to any of the people wanting to participate in this?
No, you
Amazing.
not, yeah, the law office will protect you and carry you as a client, whether or not, and you'll have no legal fees, whether or not you win your case against Watchtower or you lose your case against Watchtower. There's no fees associated for stepping forward. This is purely an act of togetherness that will bring healing. And that's purely all this is, including the attorney that he just wants the world to be cleaned up.
I want to ask a question that you might not have the answer for, and if you don't, I totally understand. The lawyer,
Yes.
if you do this and would say somehow Watchtower finds out that you're involved in this and they start attacking you, will they do anything to represent you when you're being attacked? And the reason I'm asking this is I had a situation, and many people I've talked to have said that when they've gone to the law enforcement to speak about these kind of things, that their personal companies get attacked.
Mhm.
And I can tell you right now that somebody I know who had a company, something like that happened to them, and they were making fake remarks to bring the company down. I've had people tell me that they were calling their work and making stories up about them that aren't true and just harassing them in general. Is he said anything about
We
um,
haven't discussed that, but
okay.
I will tell you, this is not my first attorney in, um, protecting or finding justice. This is not my first attorney that I've had, um, on my case against Watchtower, if that makes sense. So
Okay.
speaking from previous experience, they are helpful, but they're civil, not, I don't know. That would be a good question for him. I don't
Okay.
really know
No,
how
no
that,
problem. I just thought I would ask and see. So we
right.
got
But
one more
the
document.
power and the
Mhm.
strength is in all of us coming together. That's how
Absolutely.
people put your fear away. Put your fear away, because, I'm just one drop of water and I'm able to, help bring this forward for other victims. We keep adding drops of water, and before you know it, we're a glass of water, and then we're a lake, and then before you know it, we're the ocean. And then we'll be a tidal wave. And
Yeah.
when we're a tidal wave, we can actually cause some changes.
Now, would you be able to explain this document to the audience?
Sure. So the ecumenical lawsuit introduction. So our group of advocates is working with a team of private investigators, and those investigators are taking their findings to prosecutors so that we can proceed forward with criminal cases and also civil lawsuits, specifically this mass tort lawsuit, against organized cults, starting with the Jehovah's Witnesses, because we all know they've injured children, in the worst ways. This is where most of our stories come out of. So we get to lead the way as, ex-Jehovah Witnesses who have been harmed in that organization. We get to lead the way for other cult groups to come forward and find their healing. So there is like I said, there is an investigation going on. Um, that involves, it's a criminal investigation. Now, this is separate from whatever is going on in Pennsylvania, which I know I'm involved in that as well. This is not
Correct.
connected to what's happening in Pennsylvania. This is separate from that. So if you partook in that investigation, you're welcome to help with this investigation. But this is a total separate entity, and it's open for everyone, whether you're in the Jehovah's Witnesses now or before, whether you live in the United States or not. They would like our testimony globally.
This is kind of like a civil like lawsuit. Would that be right?
A
Is it
what? Civil?
civil? Is it similar to like a civil lawsuit?
A civil lawsuit is when you seek damages, monetary damages
Mhm.
or harm. So yes, this is a civil lawsuit, but it will be conducted on a mass scale. So it's a mass tort lawsuit. meaning each individual case will be looked at for their own, as its own thing, but collectively will be represented together.
Now, I don't remember what the correct term is, but I know like when they get like a company is getting sued for damages to like a group of people, like let's say
Class,
like what is it?
class action.
Yes, a class action lawsuit.
Th-
So
th- Very,
is
very similar to that. It's
okay.
in the same category.
Could victims, like for an example, I'm just going to throw it out there. So people like me who were abused as a child and the parents hid it, and then the church threatened you your whole life. Like, is there any chance that, we could get money out of them for this? Like, are they going to sue them to teach them
That
a lesson?
this is the hope, is that
Mhm.
all survivors that come forward and participate in this lawsuit will walk away with some type of monetary compensation, along with the healing of knowing that you've caused an awareness, and with that awareness can come change. We're going to
Mhm.
be able to change legislation as well.
Perfect. So I'm going to stop sharing this and then see what happens here.
Okay.
Okay. How does it look to you? Is it back
I
to normal?
see you and your wife.
Okay, so I'm not sure how that's gonna look to the audience, but what I was gonna think about doing is, we went through what's going on, you've explained the documents. The kind of culture that is going on right now, I just wanna, maybe we'll just kind of talk a little bit about the culture and the environment we're in now, because I've noticed from when I started this in 2019 to where we're at right now, it's just like people who hurt children and people who do this, people, organizations, companies, religions, it's like they're on the radar right now.
It does seem as if the world is watching, and the world is first watching cults, because I believe cults have the most to hide. When you're isolated from the rest of the world, through an ideology that, we didn't celebrate birthdays, we didn't salute the flag, we were no part of the world, similar to the Amish. We lived in our own little bubble, and a lot of us still live in a bubble outside of the organization. That's why we're so connected, and that's why this is happening with us first, is because we're so connected globally, more so than the other organizations.
Stephanie, I just want to let you know, we have 10 minutes and then it's going to cut us out.
Okay.
So I just wanted to give you that. So go ahead, Kitty. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Go move on to the next thing then.
Oh, no, that's really all I wanted to talk.
No, I do believe that the
Mhm.
world is watching, the world is paying attention. If you look at, it first started in 2009 with Russia. They kicked Jehovah's Witnesses out, right?
Mhm.
But it wasn't just the Jehovah's Witnesses. They kicked out the Mormons, the Scientologists, and all these other little fringe church groups, right?
Mhm.
And more and more countries are doing the same thing. So there's got to be an underlying reason for all of this. Yes, these organizations are harming children. There's got to be, and maybe that's the reason why people are paying attention now, is because they're realizing that these small little offshoot groups really do the most psychological, spiritual, physical, emotional harm to children.
Yeah, I like when, so one of the things I've noticed personally is, okay, when I was dealing with Watchtower when I was younger, when I was in my teens, when you would talk to people about Jehovah's Witnesses, they didn't really have much to say. They were just like a kind of goofy Christians.
Mhm.
That attitude is not the same anymore. Like when I talk to people, like let's say like someone at a Christian church or someone like you, a different religious group that claims Christianity, and I say, "Oh yeah, witnesses," they almost immediately go like, "That's like a child molester group." They just
Oh,
hide pedophile. And if you look up Jehovah Witnesses, just like on YouTube, there's no positive Jehovah Witness videos. It's all victims talking about it. That's it. That's all that shows up. And I know at the Kingdom Halls, they're telling people they're not allowed to look up Jehovah's Witnesses on the internet because of that. And I know they've told that to people because I have family members who are still active.
And if they had any sense about them, that would be the first thing they would do, is go home and Google search Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
it's
people are waking
interesting.
up, not just from within the organization waking up, but from without the organization looking in. I do believe people are waking up that something is not right with the witnesses.
Yeah,
I I agree with you.
one of the things
The
that
cult
one of
groups
the
too. It's
yeah
not just the witnesses. It's this environment
mhm.
of, I mean, I hate to say patriarchy because we need strong, valiant men in order, for the feminine to truly thrive. But it's an unhealthy patriarch that is abusive to women and children.
No, I agree with you 100%. And they're not real men either. Real
No,
men fight to defend the children and the women. What
amen,
do? They turn their cheek and they just walk away.
amen.
They're not men at
No,
all. No man would allow another man to hurt a child in front of him and hide it. That's not a
no,
man. That's a coward.
absolutely not. And especially a man of God. I mean, I know, you don't believe in God, and we all define God in our own way, right? Um, but whatever is godly or whatever is good, if you're a good person, you're not gonna allow this to continue. And it's the worst of the worst. It's it is child abuse, but it's also the killing of our children for sadistic, satanic reasons. And I'm not crazy for saying that.
No.
It's unfortunately very real. And if all child abuse is satanic, but if we stay quiet about what happened to each of us that maybe was a little less satanic, then that's how the most evil is able to thrive, is because of our silence. And so we're giving a very beautiful, powerful opportunity to come forward collectively as one, so that we can cause the great storm that has been brewing. We can be the ones that make the great clouds come and bring the lightning and the thunder to these organizations that are harming children. And we'll start with Watchtower, gladly. They hurt my family tremendously. And
They did the same thing to me, and they've done the same thing to all 32 people that I went to that evil. I call it the Kingdom Hall from hell. One of these days, I'm not joking. One of these days, when I have time, I will write what had all happened to me, and I am going to title that book "The Kingdom Hall from Hell."
yeah, it's scary. You and I both, well, I don't live in Arizona right now, but I spend a lot of time in Arizona still. Do you remember that case where not too long ago, a few years ago, some little girl was visiting Kingdom Hall with her grandma and got raped in the parking lot? Remember that?
I'm going to be honest with you. I do remember it. I
Time.
don't remember which Kingdom Hall it was or what the person's name was, but I remember hearing the story.
Yeah. Her
Like,
first time at a Kingdom Hall, she got raped. I mean, what is wrong with these people? It's
oh,
it's a culture that just allows this evilness to continue. So let me
mhm.
before we lose. So the third part of this is changing legislation, and we've all heard about the clergy penitent privilege exemption, the exemption in the mandatory reporting law that allows crimes, specifically when they're crimes against children, to remain secret in the institution as a sin. And we know that is the two witness rule, that's how they kept things secret. So we are also advocating, as you know, I've been working long and hard on that, to change that law. So this is our opportunity to address this on a federal level. Finally, we started in 2019 in California with another group of advocates, Star, the one who's using, she's allowing us to use her website for this. Wow. Her website, she was the one that invited us to go to the state capitol. And now here we are together, going to be able to bring this to a national attention. But in the meantime, so I started 2019 in California with SB 360. And then I've traveled state to state, not every state, but four states in total with 6 attempts trying to change this law. And it's not going to be me that does it. It's going to be all of us coming together, because if we don't unite as one voice, then change is not going to happen. So that's the third part of this. We've got the lawsuit, we've got the criminal investigations, and then we have the power with all of our voices collectively to bring legislative change, meaning our laws will protect the children greater than they protected us, because we'll be able to change those laws.
I am absolutely 100% behind you. I just want to let you know we have about 60 seconds left.
I saw that. That's why I paused.
Yeah.
So,
Stephanie, I'm gonna say this, man. I am so proud of you, girl.
you know, I they just I don't know if you're recording, but yeah, they just fucked with the wrong girl. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, it's still recording.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just had to keep pushing forward. You know the story, Bo.
Oh, I
It
know. I know.
looking for a little boy homeless on the streets. I mean, how do you let that rest when you realize the organization was the cause of that
Because they're pure evil.
pure evil, and they don't care?
And that's why they're pure evil. There's
Yep.
nothing worse than someone who does things like that, and then people who know it and don't care. They're just as bad.
I think it's almost worse, because the people that do the evil, yes, they're very evil, but they have a sickness of some sort. But to be,
All right, guys. So those of you who've watched the end of the video, I told you there's something really crazy happened to me. I can't explain it. I'm gonna actually share that with you. So as soon as I got off work, I had told Stephanie that we're going to immediately go in and do this interview. Now, I'm not going to explain too much about computers because basically, guys, I work on computers. Okay, and this is something I can't explain that just took place, and this is weird. And as soon as I got off, I told myself, I'm going to go and take care of this. I'm going to get this set up. I'm going to go get it. We're going to get going. We're going to get it going really quickly. The time that I have for the process is really low. My whole computer just died. All screens black, hard drive's gone. And I was like, there's no way that this is a coincidence. You're telling me. Now, guys, I go and get onto that computer every single day. It is a high-end device. I do not surf the web. I don't do anything on that computer. It is only used for gaming, and I do nothing with it. So there's no viruses, there's no nothing. I have no explanation of why this happened to me, and it is I don't know the last time that I had a failure on my computer that I was using. I literally sat there and thought to myself, I wonder if some kind of like demon is doing this. And then I thought to myself, what would Jesus do? And guys, I'm not even joking. My computer came back to life and turned on like it never turned off. And immediately, I was about to cancel the interview because my computer was dead and it came back like that. And I have no explanation for that. I didn't say anything, I didn't tell anyone. I waited till after the interview was done and then I did some stuff, ate food, did everything like you normally do. And then I just felt like I had to tell my wife. I told my wife. She's like, like, are you serious? And then I said, look, and I showed her that when I told her the story, the hair on my arms was sticking straight up. And when I told her what I said, it felt like Like electricity shocked my body. I have no explanation for this. I don't know how to explain this, and I just thought I would tell you. That's it. We need your help. We're fighting evil.